Before the pandemic, we recruited, trained, and supported young people to go into care homes and befriend lonely residents. Obviously, that all stopped with the lockdown, and we're not expecting it to resume for some time. However, our young volunteers now support care home residents virtually, and we have 4 different ways that they can do this. They can write letters. So here's a letter from a young woman simply expressing her concern and goodwill for the residents. Is not looking for a reply. Here's another letter from a young woman who tells the residents about her life. She particularly writes about her boyfriend and her dog. Interestingly, she only names her dog. But this is probably looking for a reply, and we send out hundreds, indeed thousands of letters like this. But then there are other letters where young people kind of seek the opinions of the elderly. So this young man had an idea to start a business. And indeed, his letter has had several replies from retired businessmen and women living in care homes. So you can see you can write about almost anything. Keep it upbeat, but generally just try to engage the elderly residents. Don't ask them too many questions. If they like the sound of you, like your picture, like what you're saying, they'll reply. There's no need to, grill them with lots of questions. So that's the first initiative, write letters, and that's how most of our volunteers start. Then sometime down the road, they start to produce activities for the residents. So here's a young woman who's created a word search for the elderly to do. We have had some word searches come through that have not been particularly appropriate, like the young man who wrote about a word search about 90s pop music. To him, that was the past. But to people in their 80s and 90s, the 90s were not their time for music. You need to go back to at least the 60s, possibly even the 50s and the 40s, or even the 30s, if you want to go back to when they were teenagers like yourselves. So word searches, crosswords. I've even seen people come up with exercises like chair bingo. You create an exercise, an activity, put it down on paper, and we share it with loads and loads of care homes. Other young people are taking part in our YOPEY virtual variety shows. If you can sing, dance, do a magic trick, tell a joke, as long as it's clean, you just video yourself doing this on your phone and send that video to us by mail big file or another free file transfer service. And we then caption it with your name and age and possibly a little bit about you, and include it in our next YOPEY virtual variety show. You can see these on YouTube. We've done over half a dozen already. We're aiming to do one of these shows at least every month until care homes fully reopen. The fourth way that young people are helping care home residents is by decorating their care homes. And here all we're asking you to do is photograph your existing artwork and email us the photograph, not the original artwork. At YOPEY, we're not sharing anything that is sent to us through the post or sending anything onto the care homes by post. This is just in case the virus can be transferred on the surface of things. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be responsible for infecting any elderly people, so we receive everything digitally and send it onto the care homes digitally. Now you're probably already thinking, well, some of these things can overlap. So for instance, if you do an artwork, like here, this young woman drew a picture for the elderly to colour in, that is both an activity and an artwork, right? Or you could film yourself drawing that artwork. Obviously, if it's going to take quite a while, over 5 minutes, you do it on time lapse. But that too can make a great act for the YOPEY virtual variety show, because it's not a conventional variety show. We want to put into that show anything that could trigger memories for the elderly people in the care home. Remember, many of them, probably over half of them, are suffering from dementia. So anything you can do to spark their memories is a great tool for the care homes. So that's the 4 different ways. Write a letter, compose an activity, contribute an act to a YOPEY virtual variety show, or photograph your artwork and send it into YOPEY, and we'll share it with hundreds of care homes. I really hope that you join in and become a YOPEY Befriender, albeit a virtual one. Maybe for the year that you're doing that, care homes will reopen or we'll be able to get you in to visit the people that you've made friends with virtually. But even if we don't, you will be helping to make elderly people in care homes a lot less isolated. If you volunteer with us for over 30 hours, you give 30 hours of your time by writing these letters, doing the artworks, filming yourself, making an act for the variety show, so on and so forth. If you do 30 hours, which you log on our website, yopeybefriender.org, you can ask me to write you a personal reference like this. And that's where this lady behind me comes in. The two cardboard cutouts of the Queen that traditionally our volunteers used to take into the care homes, because most of them are royalists. They love having their photograph taken with pictures of the Queen. Well, they're here today to hide some of the clutter in my office, but they're also here today because the Queen gave me an MBE. That means I have an honour. I put the MBE at the end of my letter, and hopefully that makes the letter worth a little bit more to you and maybe opens the door to a different university for you. Who knows? But anyway, I hope you become a YOPEY Befriender, and I look forward to receiving your first letter or artwork or activity or even a video for YOPEY virtual variety shows. Thank you for your time.